Hello everybody, so we are starting on video number 3 on the PDS sign, Personal Defense Systems for Orion. I'm hoping to get this thing wrapped up on this video, so we're going to jump right into it. So what I've got now, I've got all of my bigger internal areas pretty much taken care of. Now I've got to get in between here and the little tight areas. Vicky actually asked me a really good question. Why do I need to do those? Well, the reason I'm doing those is I don't want any flat showing anywhere. I want everything contoured, even down in these really tight spots. I just don't want any flat showing anywhere. So that's the reason I am taking the time to do that. So we've got the very small sphere in there, and I'm going to just take that as far as I can go up in here. I'm going to do this first, I think. I've already kind of done that one, but I need to do a little bit more. So here we go. Okay, so I think that's about as far as I can go up into these tight grooves. Now I've got to put in the, we'll come back and I'll put in the pointed one so I can get down in those grooves and finish this off. We'll be right back. Okay, so now I've got the really fine tipped one, and I need to get down in some of these internal cuts. Because again, I don't want any flat down in there either. So all I'm trying to do, guys, is just get down in there on those flats and give it some kind of a texture. It's probably not necessary. In fact, I'm sure it's not really necessary, but it's just what I want to do. So I'm going to do these other little flats here, and then we'll come back. All right, folks, so I did all of this, the really tight stuff around my letters, and got in those deep places with this little one. I've got a couple more little spots that I got to do this with this one. Then I'm going to put this one in and get right alongside those grooves. I'm going to do that off camera so we can move on to the cool part and put in our use our disc grinder and start grinding down the outside. So we'll be right back. All right, so I've got all of that done. Now you're probably wondering how I got down in here, because I didn't have a tool narrow enough to get down in there. So what I did is I went back to our little contour sanding deals that I showed a few months ago, and I just kind of sanded some roughness down in there, and that I think will suffice for that. So now we are on to the disc grinder. So this is obviously very coarse. Again, cuts all stuff. We love the cuts all stuff. I'm not sure exactly which one this is. I'll tell you in the description. I got to find the box for it. They've got several different terminologies for it. So always wear gloves. I like the paddle switch. Originally I didn't have one of those, and it was just an on and off switch, and I went back and switched for the paddle. So as soon as your finger comes off here, it goes off. So you got to be extremely careful with these things, guys. Here we go. Guys, I think you can see what I'm trying to accomplish there. I don't want to get real close with that disc, so I may have to come back with the die grinder and my big sphere and get in and kind of blend this stuff in. I just don't want to take a chance and nick one of those letters or some of my artwork. So I'm going to go ahead and rough this up, do what I did here all the way around. And then we'll probably put in the die grinder and see how deep I want to make this thing, because I do want to go down deeper than this, but I'm going to do it in kind of in levels. So stick with us. We'll be back. All right, folks. So I went ahead and I took this down to where I wanted it to be, and that's about 1 inch from the surface. And that's the mark that I'm going to try and hit all the way around. But then I had a kind of another dilemma come up. If you look in this area right here, which you guys saw on the last scene, and this area over here, this I was kind of doing, you know, horizontal lines with the sphere, and I like the way that looked, but unless I'm going to do the whole sign that way, all the background that way, it just doesn't match. This, if you go back to the last scene, you'll see this looked like this, but I decided to see what the difference of the two type of backgrounds looked, and I like this a little bit better. So I'm going to show you how I basically turned this into that. So I'm just using my sphere. It's kind of a medium grit, and I just have to smooth everything out. that's what I'm going to do in here. I'm going to finish this up, and then as soon as I finish this up, we'll come back and we'll start taking, trying to match this all the way around over to what we've got here, which is about 1 inch at the max. Be right back. Okay, so this is the disc I'm using. Super, super coarse, really hogs out a lot of material. And
turn it that way.
Oh, because of glare?
Yeah.
Okay. It really hogs out a lot of material, which is what I need to do right now. So I'm going to attempt to take as much as I can down to that 1 inch depth, and I'll just keep checking it till I get there. So here we go. See, I'm still only at about 3/4 deep, so I got another 1/4 of an inch to go. So guys, as you can see, this is going to take a while. It's just a lot of material removal. So I'm going to go ahead and get this roughed out all the way around to about 1 inch, and then I'll go back with my smoother disc and I'll kind of smooth things out. So I'll see you in about a second for you and about 2 hours for me. All right, guys, we're moving on with this thing. So like I said in the last scene, I went and I roughed out the pretty much my 1 inch depth all the way around, with the exception of the corner that has the knot. I didn't go quite as deep there because I want to keep that knot. But let me show you what I came up with real quick to help me figure out my depth rather than having to use my my tape measure all the time. So I marked this at 1 inch, and then all I need to do is just look at it right there, and I know I'm right around 1 inch. It's gradual, obviously, but at the deepest point, I'm at 1 inch, and I can check that pretty much all the way around. You guys probably can't see that part, but it's pretty much 1 inch all the way around. So that was a little quicker way to do it than the yardstick and the tape measure. So now what I'm going to do is I've done as much as I want to do with the coarse disc. Now I've got the medium shaping disc in my die grinder, and I'm just going to smooth this stuff out, and then we'll get into the blending after that. So here we go. See how much smoother this is than this area over here where I was using the coarse. So what I'm going to do, I've got my depth pretty much where I want it. This is much smoother. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and smooth this thing out all the way around. Then when we come back, we can finish up the blending in. I got to get rid of this, and we'll blend all of these sharp corners. We'll blend them in, and then we'll be moving on to the finishing. We'll be right back. All right, folks, so this is what I'm doing different on this one that I didn't do on my logo sign, is I found that the random orbital really smooths this stuff around, or smooths it down. I did this part and this part, and now I'm going to work my way around there, but all I'm doing is just moving that random orbital and trying not to bang into my artwork. So then once that's all done, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, and I'm going to blend this thing in, which I'll do a little bit. I've done this part here, kind of blended it a little bit. Now I'll just try and get all this stuff blended in. And what I found is, oh, then what I found is I can use my little sanding stick and then just kind of sand that by hand. I'm going to go in there and get rid of that ridge. I don't like that. I want this kind of a look all the way around. But I'm just kind of showing you guys what my process is going to be. Again, this is hours and hours of work off camera. But I don't want this to run into a fourth video, so I'm trying to keep this as concise so you guys can see kind of what my process is, but not have to go through all of it right on camera. And we're kind of under the gun because the temperature is heating up. It's already 90 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to smooth that out more. Then I'll blend this in, and I'm going to try and get it like this smooth all the way around. Then when we come back, oh, the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to blend these sharp corners as well. And I'll do that probably with the Fordham. And blend these in because I want these to be a nice smooth transition any place that there's that. Little spittle won't hurt. Just rub it in. But I got as close as I can. Actually, I did all of this with the disc, the angle grinder and that smooth disc, and it worked out pretty well. And then I sanded it smooth with a random orbital, but I'm loving the way it's coming out so far. So I'll finish this up, guys, and then when we come back, we'll be getting into the finish. Bless you.
Sorry,
we'll be getting into the finishing.
I'm sorry.
Bless you again. A lot of dust out here. Okay, guys, we'll be right back. All right, it is time to put the finish on this thing. As a matter of fact, I've already started on the back. I got it all sanded off, and I put already started putting the penetrating epoxy on. That's what I want to do, at least one coat, maybe two of the penetrating epoxy, and I've got it on the back. I've got it mixed up. This is a 2-to-1, so I've got it mixed up, and again, I already did the back, so now I'm going to do the edges, the ends. I always, I don't know, it's just me, I always try and do the ends and the edges when I do the front. That's just kind of the way I do it. I don't know if that's right or wrong. It just has always kind of worked out for me. So this stuff is pretty thin, this penetrating, but the idea behind this stuff is to seal up the board as much as possible so that when we put our flood coat on, that it is sealed up and we don't get as many bubbles and problems with the flood coat. So I mixed up what, 50 and 100 were they milliliters? Yeah, milliliters. All right, so let's see how this cedar looks when it gets a finish on it. I love the cedar. It's such a dramatic improvement in the colors when yeah. What's the work time on this stuff, babe?
I'm not sure. I normally
Well, the reason I ask is the cup is already getting warm in my hand. It doesn't appear to be thickening much, but I can definitely feel the warmth. This stuff soaks in really well, so I'm not too worried about it.
come right over here.
All right, hang on.
There you go.
So I think I'll just do this end on camera, guys, because we've got a long ways to go. This is still just the penetrating, and I might put a second coat on. We'll see what it looks like in a few hours. But I'll do, man, look at that grain. Gosh, that looks spectacular. I love the way that looks. Now these letters are going to be painted, so I'm not too worried about these cracks through here that are already filled with Starbond. So I'm not too worried about that. We do have in the S down here, we have a wormhole that I may have to do some Starbond plugging there, but we'll see what happens after we get done with our penetrating. Anyway, guys, wow, that looks really cool. I'm loving the way it's looking. All right, that is it, guys. We will be back. When we come back, we'll either have a second coat of this penetrating epoxy, or maybe the first, just one coat will do it, and we'll get into to the painting and final flood coat. So we'll be right back. All right, folks, we're back. So here's where we're at right now. We put 2 coats of the penetrating epoxy on here. It really needed a second coat because the first coat soaked in really bad. So, and then I went ahead and I painted it off camera, just because you guys have seen me paint so many times, and I'll put some videos across the screen right now. You can see me painting, but this is one shot. And so what we're going to do now, the next step is I'm going to sand this down really lightly with a piece of 240, just really lightly by hand, just to get rid of the little imperfections, and then also give the flood coat something to stick to. So that's what my my local expert tells me I need to do, which is the one running the camera right now. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to lightly sand this whole thing off camera. Then when we come back, we'll have the tabletop resin all poured, ready to do our final flood pour. So we'll be right back. All right, so we've got, what did we say, 24 ounces? 24 ounces of
28,
14 and 14, yeah, 28 ounces of the Total Boat tabletop. We're hoping that's enough. It's always kind of tough.
Come in over here.
It's always kind of tough for us to know because of the depth, even though it's a flood pour. It's kind of tough for us to know because most people, when they use the the resin calculators and stuff, they're talking about a flat tabletop. Well, everything we do, or most of the stuff I do anyway, has a three-dimensional aspect to it. So you always want to try to take that into account. But we're not filling it like we would normally. A lot of times you're filling, you know, divots and stuff and carving, and that's not really what we're looking for here. What we're looking for here is just an overall flood coat.
Sorry if I'm in the way, guys, here.
I think we're gonna have enough.
Oh, stuck my arm right in it. Yay!
So this is the part where...
My sister's here, and I can see in her face she wants to get in there too.
Say hi, Leslie.
Hi, everyone. We won't show her. She doesn't want to be on camera. Besides the fact that she's in her jammies.
Yeah, it's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, she's a little lazy.
She's on vacation. She's retired.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
looks like we're gonna.
Good.
Think we're gonna be okay.
If you got extra, I'll go pour it on my.
Well, I want to make sure that we've got enough because we don't have any over the end over here yet.
Well, I've covered all the way up here.
But still.
You're pedaling pretty good up here if that's what you want.
Yeah, I really don't want. I really don't want too many puddles from a standpoint. I want to see that there's depth there, you know.
Yeah, I think we made too much.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Oh. But again, much rather have too much than not enough.
There's enough for me to go pour my checkerboard.
All right, are you going to go do that then?
Well, when we're done here, I'm just gonna leave the camera on there, and then
I'm gonna get the heat gun out, guys. I'm gonna spread this around a little bit more and get the heat gun out and start popping bubbles. So we'll be back in a few minutes, and then we're gonna tint this thing to try and keep stuff off of it. So we'll be right back.
let's push it. Red light go.
All right, so we got it all on there. It's been about 10 or 15 minutes now. We've got it tinted. This is actually Vicky's idea, putting these plastic cups on top of paint cans to give us enough height to get over, so everything, it looks like it's pretty protected all the way around. And I've hit it a couple times with the heat gun. We'll check it again in probably, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, whatever my boss says. And then the next scene that you'll see is hopefully it'll be all done, and we'll show you the final product complete, ready to go, which is good because I got to surprise Ryan with this in about 4 or 5 days. So anyway, we got it done, hopefully, if everything goes right. But anyway, stick with us and we'll be right back. All right, guys, here it is. So it's not absolutely perfect, but it's probably as close as I can get. I'm super happy with the way it came out. And that flood pour, I'm glad we put 2 coats of the penetrating epoxy on because the final tabletop flood pour covered really, really well. We had just enough. Actually, we had a little bit of extra. And so I don't know. I just want to
Tilt it that way, just, yeah.
right there. Anyway, yeah, see if you can get some really good close-ups on there. Anyway, so by the time you guys see this, by the time you see any of the videos, I think this is the third one, and they all went really long, but I didn't want to drag it out to 5 or 6 or 7 videos. So I apologize for the length of the videos, but you guys can watch them at your leisure. But super happy with it. But Ryan's already got this sign by the time you guys see these videos. But again, the power carving, guys, if you guys haven't done any of that, it is so much fun. It is it just gives such a cool look to add to the routing. So anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. If you have any questions on this, let me know. Thanks again to Ron for supplying us this beautiful piece of cedar. Brought it 9-hour drive from Texas, or from Tennessee to Texas, to give it to us. And again, I just can't thank him enough for that. And also for Total Boat, great products. If you guys are not using Total Boat products, you are not using the best that there is. These Total Boat products are just awesome. So thank you again, Total Boat. We absolutely love you guys. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Email me if you have any questions, eric@makeawoodsign.com. Please, if you would comment on these videos, it helps us with the YouTube algorithm thing. And we love you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.